Hello, my lovelies. Ginny-O here, the author with no last name, and SSO has implemented a new anti-cheat program. Yes, anti-cheat, not anti-hack, called GameGuard. It's from a South Korean company and has been around since the early 2000s, just like PX Engine. Go figure. There have been people putting out a lot of contradictory information about GameGuard. I am not a cybersecurity expert. Please do not take my word as canon gospel. I wished Ismael Serrano had put out his own more technical post addressing many of the concerns the player base has. It appears GameGuard has not been properly implemented or tested for SSO. This is pretty normal for SSE at this point. If you are worried, consult with your own cybersecurity expert and make decisions from there. The major issue I have right now, which many people have, is Star Stable Entertainment is not giving enough information so people can make good decisions about their product far enough in advance and before they change it. We'll readdress this at the end. So I've got a list of questions that have been thrown at me. Why an anti-cheat that supposedly doesn't work? Cheating isn't necessarily hacking. This is an anti-cheat, not an anti-hack. This program isn't going to stop people who know how A, to get around it, and B, are using the vulnerabilities in the code against the servers in the engine. This isn't going to fix any bugs or fix any of the quote-unquote hacking issues. It won't stop the speed glitchers. It's just going to stop people from using third-party software to cheat the system. I can still hear you going, why? Businesses aren't smart or competent, even if they are tech businesses. Get that out of your head. Just because businesses are in the tech industry won't stop them from making boneheaded decisions, especially when it comes to players who are, as I call it and other gamers call it, griefing the system. Griefers use the system against itself to gain advantages, and so businesses have to try to find a way by either closing the code loopholes, which takes time, or by using third-party software as a patch to try and mitigate as much as possible people who use third-party cheats or hacking software. Now, I'm sure they had a board meeting about this with the CEO, Johan S., and with Nordisk. Okay, and Nordisk went, we have this hacking and cheating going on, and they might not know the difference between cheating and hacking right now because most of their games are mobile games outside of Star Stable Online. So they would talk to the board, and Nordisk wants something done as fast as possible. They want the code to be fixed, sure, but that takes too long. They need a PR win to show the community they are working on it. It's a psychological thing, not the smart thing. SSE turns around and puts out cold calls in quotes for an anti-cheat software. They have requirements. They have an old engine it needs to run with. They have minimum system requirements it has to meet to match SSO's system requirements. They want it to not keep player data. They put out a bunch of briefs basically for quotes and then go with whoever is willing to work with them. This ended up being INCA and Protect, a South Korean company that made GameGuard for South Korean MMOs. Is this smart? Probably not. Has it been good PR? Not at all. But Nordisk sees SSE doing something. That makes them happy, and SSE wants to make Nordisk happy. Not us, the players. What is GameGuard? Ricky calls it a rootkit. Ismael describes it as an application module and a computer process that runs as Star Stable runs. Someone else called it a driver. All of these are different things, and drivers can be part of software applications. To make this even more confusing, it would take way too long to get into all of them. And so far, no one has come through to say which one of these things the program really is. I don't want to put false information out there when I'm not really a cybersecurity expert. Does it have permissions to monitor your computer's CPU and what programs you're running, and if they are cheat programs, quote unquote? Apparently. Is it good at it? That depends, it seems, on the system. It definitely wasn't tested enough. There are still a lot of bugs and kinks to get out since SSO is running on everything from Windows 7 to Windows 11. This is a Windows-only program. If you have a Mac or mobile, it doesn't affect you. If you have Linux, you can't use SSO on your Linux machine anymore because GameGuard sees emulators as a third-party cheat. The point of GameGuard and the way it is installed is so you, the user, do not have control over what is whitelisted and what isn't. Every program is put into your registry. Every program is given permission on your computer from when they can start up, to how much resources they can take, to how they shut down again. They may not be named sensible things because programmers are just that way. You often don't have control over the permissions. Norton's antivirus is awful for this, and that's an antivirus. So why GameGuard? Because GameGuard was willing to work with them not to collect player information or send player information back to SSE or GameGuard itself. This is very important for SSE and for their young player base who are playing on PCs. Is it safe? All of the information indicating it might not be safe is prior to 2016, 6 years ago. I would think if they are still selling the software, they have fixed those patches or changed the way it works so it doesn't take those permissions. SSO claims GameGuard has made them a custom version of the program. Whether or not it's safer than the regular version is still up for debate. Tentatively, and I put this out there as tentative unless there is new info, it is safe. Keep an eye on your CPU processes and have an antivirus and anti-malware handy, but you need to do that anyways if you have a computer. Send any problems you've got to SSO. They don't want their game to make you feel unsafe running your computer. Be persistent. They will try to put you off with copy-paste replies about system requirements. Use their socials. If you aren't part of the Embassy Discord, maybe join it to see what is going on there. The more information the players can give SSO about these issues, and the more players going, "We're leaving," the more SSE will see there is an issue in the first place. They want your money. For that, you need to stick around. If I uninstall it, will it leave files? Yes. All programs, drivers, and anything that is installed on your computer is going to leave evidence it's been there even after you uninstall it. You can manually remove those files if you like. Those files are there for the program to reference in case you ever decide to reinstall the program. If you are on a Windows computer and you uninstall and reinstall SSO, you're going to get GameGuard. This program is here to stay. If you don't feel safe using it, then I suggest uninstalling SSO, uninstall all the extra GameGuard files manually, being very careful with your registry files, or have a professional do it. Play SSO on Apple Mobile if you must. Keep playing it. If I uninstall it, will it be in my registry? Yes. Your registry is a list of programs, drivers, and etc. with the permissions these programs have to work on your computer. Your computer uses this list to start up and shut down. If you uninstall something from your computer, a record remains in the registry that you uninstalled this program. That is by design. This is why they make it extremely difficult to edit your registry. The registry is something that people who are going in to look for viruses and malware on your computer to fix it, they're going to be looking at your registry to see what programs you have installed and uninstalled to know what is there and what is viruses and what isn't. They may also make it very difficult for you to find the portion of the control panel that moderates permissions of various programs on your computer. They don't name these programs sensible things, and you could shut something on or off or delete something by accident and brick your computer. I remember when there was this very important system file that had a teddy bear icon, and there was this rumor you needed to delete it because, oh my god, it was a virus. And yeah, Microsoft had a bad day with that one. But my game is running worse with GameGuard. Yeah, of course it is. They are adding yet another process onto the overloaded engine. It's going to run worse until they iron out the kinks. And it seems like they couldn't take every system and every program into account, or even take into account kids have their own accounts on computers that don't have administrative permission. And for very good reasons by parents who like parental controls. This is going to take more than 2 weeks for them to sort out. And if they have a large group of people going out on vacation over the summer, then it will be longer to figure out. Does this suck? Yes. Think about why we can't have nice things and then stop doing it. Is there something SSO could do to stop these cheaters and hackers? Absolutely. But then again, these take as much time, if not more time, than working with a third party to create a new variation of an anti-cheat already in existence, or working with a third party to create a new chat AI system. And all this does is fix the cheating, not the hacking. Right now, the technical people have a lot on their plate, and we don't know who they are. There's at least 12 of them on the coding side. We don't know how many are on the server side. They are refactoring the servers by creating and migrating information to new databases. They are coding the new parts of the game, including story and events. They are having to try and figure out what bits of code the hackers are exploiting to close those loopholes. They are programming UV layers for over 10,000 items. They are helping with the programming of the new player character. In other words, they are swamped. The easiest thing to do probably would be to create an ideal finish time for every race in the game for players, horses, and gear at max stats. And then knock 2 to 5 seconds off of it. And if a player comes in under that ideal time, they are temporarily banned for hacking and they don't get what they want, which is the best time and the Jorvik shillings in their mailbox. Would hackers eventually come up with a workaround to get just over those ideal times? Sure, of course. But we wouldn't be seeing 2-second races anymore on the boards. It'd be temporary, but hopefully long enough for them to finish some of the stuff they are working on and be able to focus a bit more on a security anti-hacking solution. And I'm going, that's the easiest thing, but it probably isn't easy at all and would require quite a bit of programming. Personally, I'd be taking out Jorvik shilling rewards until the hacking ends. Take out the incentive, and that will leave the achievers who just want to see their names on top of the board. There is, of course, another solution where they would not have to compete against other players, but they would have to compete against themselves. If they have the highest score, it has to be higher than their own personal best for it to register with the system as a high score and for them to get Jorvik shillings. This could be reset every other month. This might stop players from server hopping to try and get high scores everywhere as well. Or maybe if you were the high score last month on a race, you can only be a high scorer this month on the race if you can beat the high score you had last month. I don't know. Maybe start breaking leaderboards up by player level. There are things that could be tried. Once again, this would take programming and shutting down leaderboards for a while until a better system can be found for the Jorvik shilling rewards. The fact people are hacking or doing glitches to get these small Jorvik shilling rewards means there is something seriously wrong with the game and needs to be addressed as well. Hacking is a symptom. The lack of game balance is the cause. The biggest issue and the PR nightmare with GameGuard was SSE's lack of communication before they went global with it. Sure, they tested it on Australian servers, but did they do a volunteer test batch of players with different computer OS types and antivirus malware software and third-party program builds that work with Star Stable? I don't think they tested it enough, and many people are angry they didn't want this particular anti-cheat program on their computer due to its very tarnished reputation. You are going to get computers and antivirus softwares that aren't going to let it run. The only way for SSE to fix this is to work with GameGuard to fix the program. This could take weeks or months depending on how much time they have to put into it and when people are going on vacation. Because of their lack of communication and lack of transparency about what the program actually is and how to get rid of it completely if you uninstall SSO, there is a lot of fear and anxiety going around and players who are going to leave the game over it. This is aggravated by the general lack of trust in the SSO's PR team as they've been caught in too many lies. Those lies might not have anything to do with the software security, but they build up into this general feeling of mistrust. The problem is SSO is an old game. The code isn't good. It's easily hacked. They have not been upgrading their security as they should, and this is adding fuel to a fire. This isn't the first time they've been bad about relaying technical information that ends up having players not being able to play their game in droves. Every one of you or your parents is going to have to do your own research and decide if this is something you want on your computer or if you want to stop playing Star Stable on Windows and play it on a Mac or an Apple mobile device. As usual, SSE, when it comes to tech stuff, could have done a lot better job. I don't know if this is helpful, if Ismail ends up making his own blog post about it, and I hope he does because SSO's news post wasn't useful to the more techie and hardcore gamer side of their player base. I'll definitely cover it. I will hopefully see you tomorrow as we go over the May blog post. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, bless, and I'll see you in the next video.